Rouxx. So today I wanted to get into a couple headlines. We're going to start with trans identified male swimmer Lia Thomas being nominated for the NCAA 2022 Woman of the Year Award. And this comes after changing the policy of the National Swim Organization, changing the policy which lowers testosterone limits for competitors. I'm not going to say female competitors because female competitors don't have testosterone in the upper limits that male competitors do. And as well as changing their policy that transition would have to have occurred before the age of 11, I believe, is the cutoff to be eligible to compete in the women's league. Otherwise, it's only for natal females. It's not a perfect policy, but it's a step in the right direction, and it's clearly in response to the overwhelming backlash that UPenn and the NCAA experienced during the 2022 swim season, in which Lia Thomas dominated women's swimming after spending 2 years as a mediocre male swimmer. So let's take a look. And, we know that Lia Thomas has expressed multiple times that he does have his sights set on competing in the Olympics. So I'm sure this is not going to be the last prize that he will take from women. But this is more of what we've already seen from this one person. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is from CNN. It's the title is, again, transgender swimmer Lia Thomas nominated for the NCAA 2022 Woman of the Year Award. And actually, it's cool because when I pressed play to get the video queued up, I noticed that the person who is hosting this clip is actually the stepfather of a good friend of mine. So Kate, if you see this, hello. I'm not sure if our politics are totally in alignment with each other, but she was a childhood friend of mine, somebody who I have a lot of respect for, and I believe that even if she disagrees with me, that the feeling is mutual. We had like sleepovers and all that kind of stuff. So, hey, Kate. All right, so let's hear from Michael Smerconish, my dear friend's stepdad. Let's see what he has to say. Hold on. And let me...
NCAA ruling will allow a record-breaking collegiate trans swimmer to compete in Ivy League championships, which kick off this Wednesday, as well as NCAA championships. This despite a recent rule change by USA Swimming, the sport's governing association, which reduced the permitted amount of testosterone in trans swimmers, and despite a letter from 16 of her teammates saying that she has an unfair advantage, adding, to be sidelined or beaten by someone competing with the strength, height, and lung capacity advantages that can only come with male puberty has been exceedingly difficult. The letter...
So, and I want to mention that I went to Our Bodies, Our Sports rally. I attended two different rallies. One was in support of House Bill 972, Fairness in Women's Sports. And I stood beside Fair Play for Women. I'm sorry, not Fair Play for Women. What was the organization? Women for America. And I was there on behalf of Save Women's Sports, which, if you don't know, is Beth Steltzer's organization. It's a wonderful organization. I was there with Connie and Jen Radfem Jen. And, we met with a lot of senators. We went door to door. And it's just such a straightforward bill. No one's trying to keep trans identifying children or adults from playing sports. We are just acknowledging, as trans ideologues have acknowledged from the very beginning, that gender and sex are two different things. And we segregate sports on the basis of sex. Why? Because sex has a physiological component. It is based in biology, even if we accept at face value that that gender is real and that one can transition their gender identity, if that were even true, then we still acknowledge the very fundamental reality that what are you transitioning from? Sex is real and it is different from gender. And we play sports with bodies, not gender identities. Anyone who's played sports before knows you wear a uniform. You wear something that allows you to move, that allows you to compete. It's not about personal identity. It's not about personal expression. It's about playing the sport. It's about having gear that protects you during the sport and that facilitates you playing the sport. This isn't a fashion show. This isn't a personal poetry hour. These are sporting events. So I went with I went with Save Women's Sports to Harrisburg in Pennsylvania to rally for House Bill 972, which Governor Wolf cowardly rejected and vetoed. I also was in June there with Save Women's Sports at the Our Bodies, Our Sports rally, in which I met several UPenn swimmers, including Riley. She competed against Lia Thomas, and she was there speaking up about her experiences and how demoralizing and just unfair it felt to be put against somebody like William Thomas, who, you can just see his broad shoulders, his arm span length, his hands, 6 months of exogenous estrogen and testosterone suppressant. It is not going to undo those changes that have already been done. And one thing that is really notable, and something that actually Matt Walsh pointed out, and regardless of your opinion of him on this topic, but that he pointed out was there's so much talk about how William Thomas feels, how Will feels as Lia, and how important this is for Lia, and how much this means to Lia. And there's just so much media surrounding Lia Thomas and what this has meant for him. And yet, there's virtually no coverage of, well, how do the women feel? How do the women feel? And not only that, when you listen to Lia Thomas discuss his, he feels so much better and he's so grateful to be competing, never once does he even so much as mention how this might be impacting his teammates. How, has he heard their concerns? Does he care? He doesn't even, it's like, you hear him, but you reject them? Where are we, Lia? So I can say that I personally met women who competed against this man, and no, they're not happy about it. No, they feel demoralized. And one thing that will happen is that when you start off knowing that your chances of ever succeeding are so nil and so low, what's going to happen is women are just going to shy away. It's the same reason that we don't see a lot of women in STEM, because so many women and girls get this sense that, oh, it's so hard and you have to compete with these men and they're just, naturally really good. And women shy away because they don't want to be put in direct competition with men. They don't. When you enter something having that sense that you've already lost, how would anybody feel motivated to move forward and to continue and to compete and to put yourself out there? It's like say you wanted to ask somebody to prom and you know that the almost guaranteed they're going to say no. Are you still going to go up and do it? Or is the whole reason that people take risks because there's a chance that they could succeed? The whole reason why people can compete is because there's a chance that they could win. When we eliminate even the remote possibility of women winning any of these things, these awards, these competitions, eventually they're going to drop out. Eventually, they're not even going to take the first step to try. And it is so heartbreaking. It took us 50 years of Title IX to get here. 50 years. It's only been since the 70s that we've even had women's sports. And now we're back to fighting for them again. So let's hear some justifications as to why anyone thought it was an acceptable decision to nominate a biological male for a women's award, adding insult to injury after these women had to go through the humiliating swim season of competing against this man who's wearing a women's bathing suit, who's cross-dressing, unchanging in front of them. After we've already, again, there's been such backlash, they've even changed the policy. That's enough to say that everyone is not okay with this.
Was delivered on their behalf by my next guest. The controversy is about 22-year-old University of Pennsylvania swimmer Lia Thomas, a senior who came out in 2019 after competing for the men's team. This season is her first on the women's team. At an Ohio meet early in December, Thomas set 3 school records and 2 national.
Okay, and I do want to just say, and I actually reached out to my girlfriend, Caitlin, whose stepfather is the guy who's speaking, Michael Smerconish, the guy who's like presenting this whole news clip. I literally just reached out to her and I was like, hey, by the way, I'm using a clip of, your stepdad's, like, just wanted to let you know. And I don't know her position on anything. And Kate, if you are watching this, I hope you're okay with me, like, mentioning you. But I have seen that she's, like, followed some of my stories on my private Instagram. I know that she's seen some of the stuff that I've posted. I've posted a lot of gender critical stuff. I'm really, like, nervous and interested to see kind of like how she feels, because I know that like our other friend who, like, we were all best friends when we were kids. We're all really close. We went to a really small school. And our other friend who I know that she's still friends with, I ended up leaving and going to a different school at some point, but I stayed in contact with a lot of different people. And I know that our other friend is like way, 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 like, does a lot for like the Democratic Party. She goes like door to door and she's like real liberal. And I think she like unfollowed me a little while ago, but I noticed that Kate didn't. So, and I can just tell just from listening already to Michael's monologue in this, I get a sense that he's sympathetic. You can tell that he's sympathetic. He wouldn't be having a former Olympian on to talk about how problematic this is if he wasn't sympathetic. So, I don't know. Okay, if you want to hit me up and tell me what you think, I'd like to hear from you. Anyway, sorry.
Records. In the 1650-yard freestyle, she outpaced her second-place teammate by 38 seconds. Thomas was only given one interview to the podcast Swim Swam. It was in December, and here's part of what she had to say.
Real quick, April Ray, what you just said about one of the girls on the UPenn team said that she suspected Thomas may have something going on. I won't even repeat it because I'm pretty sure that that's one of my videos was removed because I echoed that exact sentiment. And listening to him, I strongly feel that there is some validity to that, which is I'd even mentioned that perhaps he was being victimized in a sense or taken advantage of by predatory coaches and whoever else is involved in this happening, which, people were like, well, he's a grown man, he doesn't deserve our sympathy. And I agree. Don't get me wrong. But if that is true, what you suggested that you suspect or that women have talked about that they suspect might be going on with, oh, hey, Connie. Oh, by the way, Connie, who's in here with the black cat, avatar, she is amazing. She's the one who organizes anyone who's in like Pennsylvania area or New Jersey. Tap in with Connie or, email me and I'll connect you with Connie. She does a lot of great work. She's who organizes a lot of the activist stuff that we've been getting involved in with Pennsylvania. She's amazing. She's such like a humble behind the scenes kind of person, because I'm always like, let me put you, like, I'll put your pictures on the channel and like let me give you credit. She's like, no, no, I don't want credit. I don't want credit. I just, you guys go ahead. And she's just, I love her. She's awesome. So thank you, Connie, for all that you've done for Pennsylvania. And especially this is so relevant because this is, coming from UPenn. So I really appreciate you. But yeah, so anyway, April Ray, I think that those fears are legitimate and should be looked into. And yeah, that's as much as I'm going to say about that, because I don't want this video to go somewhere.
Expected there would be some measure of pushback by people, quite to the extent it has blown up. We weren't fully expecting. I just don't engage with it.
Oh, and no, listen, and just to be clear, Mama Bear Blue, you're totally right. The whole like mental illness thing, and to be clear, that's not to get him off the hook or to legitimize him. Like, oh, just give him a pass. Not at all. He's still an adult. He's clearly smart enough to get into one of the most selective universities on the planet. So clearly, he's got some critical thinking skills. But I just wonder if there is just something that makes him particularly groomable. Because again, my ex-husband, I believe he's undiagnosed. I believe he's on the autism spectrum. And spending time with him, I kind of realized like he was also like a math genius. I mean, his whole life a math genius. He got like a full ride scholarship to a top 25 university, graduated like summa cum laude, immediately got jobs on Wall Street. But then it's like he's so bright in these like very highly specific, really quantitative ways. But then it was like socially, he would just do weird stuff and was just like really kind of like immature. And that's a little bit the vibe that I'm getting here. So I'm not sure. I'm really, you're right. This is, again, it's not to absolve him of his responsibility. It's just to suggest that, I do think that while he does deserve our ire, I think that there's a lot of people who are kind of scuttling away below the floorboards who also have a lot of responsibility in this, and who saw him as an easier target of somebody who could be kind of molded. And I think that the coach has a lot to do with this. A lot of people have gone on record to say that he was very anxious about winning, has always been very like anything to do to win. And, no one was checking for UPenn women's swimming. And it was like, I really see him as like an opportunist, somebody who doesn't care about the welfare of his athletes, who's more concerned about getting those championships, getting those accolades, getting his name in the news. So it was like a no-brainer when this opportunity came up for him to take it.
It's not healthy for me to read it and engage with it at all, and so I don't. And that's all I'll say on that.
After USA Swimming, which has some 400,000 members, tightened its requirements for elite trans athletes, the group of Thomas's teammates sent their letter asking the school and league not to challenge the rules. It read in part, "We fully support Lia Thomas in her decision to affirm her gender identity and to transition from a man to a woman. The biology of sex is a separate issue from someone's gender identity. Biologically, Lia holds an unfair advantage over competition in the women's category, as evidenced by her rankings that have bounced from number 462 as a male to number 1 as a female. To avoid retribution,
that's huge right there. But if that right there doesn't tell you everything you need to know, he was a mediocre swimmer on the men's team. He was an unremarkable swimmer. And then suddenly, you have this perfect storm of, and again, one thing about these Ivy League kids, even in the school that I went to, and one thing about these Ivy League kids and these private school kids and these high achieving kids and young adults and whoever, and parents, I'm sure his parents, a lot goes into getting a kid into an Ivy League school. I mean, that's a group effort. That's kind of like when they say, when you have an addict in the family, that's a family disease. Everybody participates in that person being an addict. It's the same thing with, successful kids. Everyone has a role in that child's success. It's the teachers, the parents, the child themselves. Everyone is equally committed to, getting this kid somewhere. It's very rare where you hear of a kid where the parents just totally just did not give a crap about the kid and making sure the kid got to where they needed to go. It's the coaches, it's everybody. Right. So I just, a lot of these people at this high level, it's whatever they need to reach that level of success. There's a high level of competitiveness, and it's this perfect storm of this like mediocre male swimmer who's clearly vastly physically superior to any of the women. You could just see it when they're standing next to each other. Yeah, I mean, he could be the most uncoordinated person on the planet, but his hands are huge. They're like flippers. The aerodynamics of his body length. I mean, he's taking I'm like, what, 5? I'm almost like 5'10". Okay, I'm really tall. My legs, you can't see. My legs are really tall. When I take one step from me, it's like when my kids always are telling me to slow down, because one step for me is like 3, 4, 5 steps for them. So they're like running like this, and I'm just walking, Or like my dad is 6'5". I used to always like, Dad, slow the hell down. He's like, oh, my bad, because he would just be taking these like huge steps, and I'm sitting there like running after him. I should take like 15 steps for every like one step that he would take. It's the same thing with the swimming. He's doing these like one stroke, and it's just propelling him forward. Whereas these women have to just keep going because their musculature, their skeletal design is just smaller. And so again, it just seemed like this perfect storm of opportunists that all got together.
16 swimmers who remain anonymous. It was sent by my next guest, who has earned her perspective on these issues. Nancy Hogshead-Makar won 3 gold medals swimming in the 1984 Olympics, the most decorated swim.
Thank you, Mimi. Thank you for the mic drop. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. I know I always say this, but you guys, when you guys support me in the channel, it goes so much further than you realize. It means a lot to me. It really makes it so I can keep doing this. And so it's not like I'm just taking time away from my kids and all that sort of stuff. So thank you. Thank you.
Swimmer of those games, Nancy Hogshead-Makar joins me now. Today, she's a civil rights lawyer and CEO of Champion Women. That's a women's advocacy organization. I should mention here that we invited Lia Thomas to come on, but did not hear back. So, Nancy, this is confusing. The NCAA said individual sports can set their own rules, but then did not honor the decision of USA Swimming. Do I have that right?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. So USA Swimming came up with a whole, changed all their eligibility rules. See, this is the craziest part. This is exactly what the Olympic policy is. They say, oh, every individual sport can set their own rules. And it's like, but like they're kind of looking at you, be like, but make sure those rules are, just watch yourself when you're setting them. It's very much like we're watching you. And that's a way, it's very much a way that the NCAA, and it's very much a way that the Olympic, whoever said, the organization that sets the rules for the Olympics, can sort of buck responsibility. Rather than give these blanket rules and eligibility requirements that, will have all the controversy to them, they sort of just pass the buck. We'll say, well, we'll leave it to the individual teams, right? So that there's no uniformity. And then again, when all of the teams are being trans inclusive and there's very much that pressure, to have one sport to step out and say, oh, well, we're not going to be, that's a lot for them too. And you got to realize there's money involved, and there's funding that they worry could be pooled and all this sort of stuff. So when these main certifying, these bodies such as the NCAA refuse to go and formally put in these restrictions and these safeguards for women, and they pass it off to individual sports, that's their way of basically saying that trans-identified males can participate, because nobody's going to go up and be the one person and risk losing funding, risk losing,
whatever. But when the USA Swim organization body decided that they actually were going to do it, turns out they turn around and they don't even respect it or honor it. So no, it really wasn't ever that you could just, choose what you wanted. That actually never was the case. You still had to, you could kind of tweak it here and there, but it still needs to be trans inclusive. It's crazy.
You do. It's unusual that the NCAA would ask USA Swimming, a national governing body that the two sports organizations typically have very little to do with each other, but it asked the sports organizations to come up with rules. They did so, and they did so in a way that we have a petition out that's signed by over 3,000 people that actually prioritize biological women. And the NCAA decided not to accept those new rule changes.
Wow. Wow. Dave says, it's one thing to say someone has a natural advantage because they are taller, faster, stronger, etc. These natural advantages that exist in sport. Being a man in women's sport is not a natural advantage. Exactly, Dave. Exactly. It's not, we know that there's sort of like a variety, again, because they're two different body plans altogether. It's supposed to be one body plan competing against people who have that same body plan. It's two different body plans altogether. It's like taking a gorilla and having it compete with I don't know, a little squirrel monkey or something. Even the strongest squirrel monkey is not going to be able to defeat even the weakest, most juvenile gorilla, period. It's two different body plans. Yes, some gorillas are stronger than other gorillas. Some are weaker than other gorillas, but they're still in the same body plan. But anyone knows this. It's like we sit there and we spin our wheels and we go in circles trying to justify. And this is so, it's when people are committed to misunderstanding, and that's how disingenuous they are. And this was a little bit how my ex-husband was. It was like he would do something stupid or he would fuck something up, like forget to pay something, do something. And I would be like, hey, by the way, just in the future, you kind of fucked this up when you did it this way. Can you just, he'd be like, no, I didn't do that. And I was like, yeah, no, you did. It's not a big deal. Just can you, he'd be like, oh, no, I actually, well, when I went and I did it like this. And then I don't know how that happened. And he was just like, we would sit there for like 20, 30 minutes going back and forth. And I'm trying to just like, get him to understand what the hell I'm trying to say. I'm like, this is not this complicated. And now I'm actually pissed off. I wasn't even mad before. I was just fucking letting you know. And it's like, you're making me over-explain what is otherwise a really simple concept. And I'm like, come on, stop it. Now you're just trying to burn through my my patience. You're trying to burn through my just emotional resources. This is foolish. Please, what I'm saying. Stop it. You could go, it's the no true Scotsman theory. We could just go through every single thing and they know what it is. We don't need to sit there and give them all these analogies and scientific explanations. Stop it. We are a sexually dimorphic species. That's it. Why are we spinning wheels trying to explain this? It's not that they don't understand. It's that they're committed to pretending like they don't get it. They're committed. Because no matter how much we win logically, they will just shift and bend. And it's like they're just Gumby. Because that's the difference between people who live in a reality that's based on a universal law, concrete facts, a concrete reality, observable reality that we all can tap into and recognize, versus relativism. Relativism is just like anything is what you want it to be. It's how do you feel? Like, come on, yo, stop it. Oh, Lulu here. Thank you. They are trying to compare it to boxing where weight counts. Scary. First of all, thank you so much for the contribution, Lulu here. Yeah, it is scary. A lot of it's scary, and a lot it's just running in circles. All of these straw mans, these false comparisons. it's really, really frustrating. And it's like, how much energy do we need to expend? And at a certain point, we almost need to just stop and say, no, we're not going to sit there and engage in this rabbit hole where we race down trying to disprove every single logical fallacy that they offer. Stop it. You know the difference. You know the difference. There's a reason you're transitioning, because you acknowledge that there's a difference between men and women. If there wasn't a difference, what is it that you would be moving away from and moving towards? If you didn't acknowledge the difference between men and women, transgenderism in and of itself would be a moot point, because there's nothing to transition away from and towards. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. It's either, is gender a construct and sex is a real biological fact? As you always tell us, sex and gender are different, but then suddenly they're the same thing when it comes to sports. Suddenly it's the same thing when it comes to these awards. It all seems way too fluid. We have so much logical consistency, and they have so much logical inconsistency.
16 teammates, you don't represent them in a legal sense, I should make clear, but you played a role in facilitating their perspective to be heard by the Ivy League. Do they have concern of being ostracized? Do they have concern about maybe even job prospects if they were portrayed on this sharp, divided cultural issue as being at odds with the swimming objectives of Lia Thomas?
Oh, they've been told that if they speak out, that they will never get a job again. They've been.
Did you hear that? Let me get this straight. Women who are being told that they will lose everything they've worked for. They will lose their spot on the team. For a lot of them, losing their spot on the team means losing their scholarship, which would mean losing their spot in an elite school like the University of Pennsylvania, which is one of the best schools on the planet, who have worked their whole lives, are saying that you have to choose between speaking up about your concerns about having to undress in front of a male, and not just any male, but a male who insists on being in female spaces. And we already know that is a special kind of male that has a special kind of problem that is potentially threatening to women. That if you even so much as express those concerns, you could lose everything. Watch yourself. And you're going to tell me this is not institutionalized sexual abuse of women. This is the institutional sex abuse, coercive, enforcing that women put themselves in a sexually threatening, degrading, embarrassing, invasive situation, and they can say nothing. They will shut up, they will put up, or you will lose everything. How is this not institutional sex abuse of women? Run me an argument that makes sense, that says that this isn't. Because there is none. There is none.
Been told, like, this is the way that it is. This is what Penn, and I have to say, it's not just Penn, it's all the Ivy League, that none of the athletes have been given the opportunity to really speak out on this. So you have 4 swimmers that have come out publicly with their names of being supportive of her, but all of the women who are supportive of biological women, the women's category, they're not allowed to speak out. And the Ivy League, these are our best institutions.
Well, I want to make clear that there's a divide of opinion within the swimming community. I made reference to the letter that the teammates sent, but I also made reference to more than 300 swimmers under the banner of Skylar Baylor from Harvard saying, hey, we support Lia Thomas and her right to compete. So where is...
Real quick, can we just give a real big shout out to Michael Smerconish for having the balls to actually give like a fair coverage of this and to invite somebody like who is this woman? Nancy Hogshead-Makar. Okay, because again, CNN has been a huge champion of the pro-trans thing. So Kate, if you are watching this, yo, tell your stepdad I said good job and thank you. You know, I understand that like he works for CNN and all that sort of stuff, and so he's got to. This has been a very fair coverage. And you can feel he has daughters. I mean, he has daughters. He gets it. You know, he can. I know he's an excellent step to be clear. I mean, from what I remember when we were kids, he's like a really stand up guy. He's like a really like caring, excellent father. You know, whatever. So he gets it. Men like this who actually care about women, who actually care about girls, who actually care about their wives, get it. They get it. You know, you don't need these complex conversations. It's easy to see.
Wherein lies the resolution? How does this end?
From what I can tell, that until women, biological women, women have a seat at the table, they can make these decisions on this is our. It is women that built the women's sports category as distinct from the men's category. You and I have talked before about how unique and kind of weird it is that we do have sex segregation in sport. We have it almost no place else in life. And the reason for that is biology, because men are between 8 and 100% better than women are athletically, the performance gap between them. So if women want equal opportunities, they have to have.
Exactly. Like she said, we don't have segregated, you know, math classes. We don't have segregated art and music because there is not intellectual differences between men and women. There are we're a different developmental pathway from the moment that SRY gene is activated along the Y chromosome. It's a wrap. Your body is now following an entirely different developmental pathway. And that's it. We are a dimorphic species. We are a sexually dimorphic species. There are ways in which that's not relevant. We are not intellectually dimorphic. We are physically and sexually dimorphic. Our body plans center around two things: survival, breathing. We have lungs to breathe. We have eyes to see. We have ears to hear. We have digestive system to eat and absorb nutrients. And reproduction. Survival, reproduction. Our survival needs are equal, equivalent, essentially. Our reproductive is different. And it impacts our bodies tremendously. We literally birth from our bodies. We don't lay eggs. I'm sure that maybe our sexual dimorphism would be less, significant if we just had to lay eggs and walk away and then they get fertilized and they grow over there. We have different pelvic structure. We have more cartilage in our pelvic joints so that they can flex and bend. Estrogen makes our ligaments looser so that our bodies can stretch to accommodate a growing fetus. I mean, I don't even want to go through everything. We know this. It's stupid to go through it. They know it. Liz, $4.99, thank you. Oh my God, your Dylan video was so good and funny. You are such a great voice for gender critical women. Thank you. I'm like really surprised that video took off the way that it did. It's interesting, like which ones you got. I think it's just because he's so ridiculous. It's so thank you. I thank Liz, and thank you so much for the contribution. That means a lot. Yeah, it's funny because like sometimes I like made that one totally like off the cuff and then like Oh, it's just all ridiculous. Let's see. Liz says it weirds me out when these trans crazy people say there are no differences between males and females. And if there were no differences between males and females, then why are you transitioning? Why I don't get it. What are you transitioning from? If we're all the same, if we're all just kind of, we're just such a spectrum, then what are you transitioning? Then what makes you trans? It doesn't make any sense. It's like just so many inherent contradictories in this ideology.
Have their own team. They need to have those separate opportunities. So we're looking at, for the future, making sure that that we have a seat at the table, because for this season, I think that Lia Thomas is going to be competing.
Quick final answer. If Lia Thomas sets records this week at the Ivy League championships, do you think they should stand? Do you think they will stand?
Yeah, two different questions. One is should and will they. So the East Germans that I competed against, who were doped to the gills.
Yeah, real quick, Brittany O'Brien actually said something that I thank you for reminding me of this. I wanted to make this point and you just reminded me. She said, Brittany O'Brien said, just haven't seen all this liberation for trans men, but wow, trans women sure are scooping up the accolades. Absolutely. Where's the trans man of the year taking the men's, thing? Why I thought CEOs are overrepresented, males overrepresented in the number of CEOs. Where are all the trans man CEOs? I thought you could just transition into that and just sort of take over that sort of, privilege and status in society. Where's the, top men? They say, so few trans women are actually winning these awards in comparison to the amount of trans athletes. Where's the one trans man who's dominated a male sport? Name one. Name one who even competes against males, let alone dominates. Forget about dominates. Name one that's even scored a goal against a man. I thought he would have all these benefits because, he's taking, testosterone. I've literally heard from trans-identified males being like, oh, trans men might even have an advantage because they take exogenous testosterone. They get to take, more testosterone. So where's like the legion of trans men just sweeping up? Where's the male actor of the year? Where's where's the trans men winning all the Academy Awards? Where's the men winning the trans men winning the Grammys? Or is it that it's business as usual? Is it that even when these women transition to being men, that they are still in this, that's the whole fucked up thing about it. You're still having the same outcomes. Is it because the equality of opportunity is not there? Because you're starting from a different point entirely? Could it possibly be that our oppression and that our state and our status is rooted in our sexed bodies? Could that possibly be it? Could it possibly be that the most significant differences between men and women are rooted in our biological reality and in our sexed bodies? Didn't think that was gonna happen, did ya? Thought that you were gonna be able to get the double mastectomy and everything was gonna change. Did it change yet? Or are you still where you were before you did all that shit to yourself? And it's so sad. It's like, oh God.
Their records stood even after the wall came down and the Stasi records were open, and we know that for a fact that they were doping as much as humanly possible. A lot of them actually transitioned because they've been on male hormones for so long. So we know that in the past they have not changed those records. Whether or not we could get those records changed, but whose records are at stake here are Missy Franklin and the great Katie Ledecky. They're college records, and I think that they should deserve to stand. Those are amazing athletes that it really should be a biological woman's record.
So, and I just want to point this out too. Anytime you hear a TRA say something like, how is this erasing women? What are you talking about? Women aren't going anywhere. You're not going to, suddenly go extinct? When we talk about trans ideology erasing women, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about Katie Ledecky, her legacy being wiped out in a moment by some trans identifying male. We're talking about these Hall of Fame, these women who are missing opportunities to be written down. We're talking about one woman who now won't be written into history because she's going to I guarantee you he's going to end up winning this award. If he takes this award, he's erasing the name of the woman who should have won the award. Every woman who name is knocked off the list, whose accomplishments are wiped out. And here's the thing, once they set these new standards, right? So say he smashes all these records. How long is it going to be until a biological woman can even touch those records again? They never will. And before you know it, time and time over time, they're going to chip away one record after another, and they're going to reset the bar so high that no natal woman can match it. So before we know it, all women's records are going to be males who took over and knocked off the true record of every woman. We're going to lose this again is like document. The history of women is going to be erased. The history of women's true accomplishments. Now we have, the first woman in history to be a general. The first women in history. And the fact of the matter, they're actually men. They're actually men. So when a woman actually does accomplish those things, when it's like, what's the one guy, the one guy with the long hair, like the first military, whatever, general, who's now the first woman, right? So now when a woman actually does attain that or achieve those things, she won't be written down as the first woman. That's already been taken by a man. There's nothing significant about a man doing it. You too, Kat. Thank you so much. You too, Kat says, UK swim champ Sharon Davies is bravely speaking out about this. Also, record-breaking temperatures in the UK today, but I'm still here for you being on fire about this. Oh, you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, God, you guys. It's just great, you guys, and your support, is everything to me. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's nuts. It's... and we really need to rally around every woman who speaks up. We need to keep setting an example that every woman who speaks up and who faces cancellation and faces the mob, she needs to see other women doing it and having a whole network of women behind her saying, we've got you, we support you, we're here with you. Because once women see that, hey, if that woman was able to speak up and maybe she was met with a whole lot of crap, there were a whole lot of women behind her saying, no, we got you. Back the hell off. You're not going to do this to one of ours. Back off. You too, Kat. Thank you. Oh, Lord. Egg McMuffin says, we talk about how crazy it all is amongst my friends, but speaking about anything to do with women as a man is as much a social death sentence for us as it is for women. Nah, Dave, it's time. Like any genuine woman, any woman who's supporting this is so brainwashed. Any real woman will recognize that you're doing the right thing. And also, even as men, you got to realize is this the future that you want for your future daughters or your nieces or just the little girls of the world? you know? So this really impacts all of us. And even just in general, just like allowing just this sort of unraveling of like decency and standard and reality. Stop fighting for reality and truth.
Nancy, thank you so much. I appreciate your being here.
Thank you very much for having me, Michael.
I've said before, I'm for fairness and inclusion. I don't know if that's possible in this case. If there's a solution, I'm not seeing it that's fair to all and allows all to be inclusive.
Oh, Michael is down with us. Oh, Kate, tell Michael I said thank you. That was awesome. Mike knows what's going on. And here's the thing. They're not being excluded. You know, and again, it's like this whole idea of inclusion. Oh, you know, God forbid someone be excluded. That's what sports is about. People get cut from teams, yes. People try out. A tryout is to sort of demonstrate yourself. That's the reason why it's a contest. That's why, you know, we've got to let go of this whole culture of everybody gets a prize and everybody gets to join. No, it's okay to have spaces for that are specific. Spaces that are meant uniquely for certain people with shared attributes, so they can be amongst themselves. That's okay. That's okay, because the whole point is that when we're all mixed in together, when we're all super inclusive, the most dominant people, the strongest people, the most aggressive people are going to take over again, and they will dominate everything. That's why it's nice to like separate different people out. That's why it's nice for Black women to be able to get together so they can freely talk about Black issues impacting Black women. That's why it's nice for, you know, Russian women who can get together and speak Russian together. You know, women who live in America now don't often get to speak in their mother tongue or talk about their own experiences. It's nice sometimes. I remember when I was living in Peru, you know, and I was always surrounded by Peruvians. And I remember every time I would find an American, I'd be like, oh, it's so nice to just be able to like speak English again and talk about things that like only another American would understand. It was like this nice kind of like treat. It was like a relief. You know, that's okay. That's okay. This whole like obsession with like inclusivity. No, it's okay to say no. We have certain values and this is what's acceptable and we don't know. I'm sorry. If you want to do that, you've got to do it over there. You know, this is where it's like, you know, just don't say anything. Just accept it. All right, I'm about to go stream about a different topic. So I'm going to end this stream and I'm going to start another one. So everybody who supported my stream, thank you so much. The support means everything to me. Everybody who came, thank you guys. Love you guys. You guys are the best. Connie says, we need male voices desperately. Please speak up. Oh, and Connie also, I read this before and I didn't get a chance to mention it. Connie said that in Philadelphia, and Connie, I'm like literally, you know, I will promote the hell out of this. So please send me more information. I'm sure you have. I need to check my email. What is it? August 7th, Speaker's Corner in Philadelphia. I'm like so excited. If anybody even needs a ride, I'm definitely going to be there. Speaker's Corner in Philadelphia. We're going to be gathering. I'll get the information on that. Anybody who's even in the tri-state area, please come. Like, let's get some people. Let's set Philly on fire. I want this to be big. I'm going to be there. Philly, August 7th. Going to be posting more information about that. I would love to see you guys come out. I'm definitely going to be there. I'll be there all day. I'm really excited about that. Namen Subliminals. This is burner account, but I want to say thank you for saving my life. I'm 19, and before finding you, I was getting laser and was going to start HRT, but you saved me. I wish I could send you more, but oh my God. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Like, that, like, that means everything to me. I'm so grateful, and I'm so glad that thank you for sharing that with me, and like stay in tune with us. And there's a lot of great detransitioners, and I'm gonna have another detransition woman on my Courtney Colston. We're trying to figure out when I can get her on my channel soon. She's amazing. She's a really powerful voice. She's worth listening to. I think anybody who's even considering transitioning or is kind of going back and forth about gender, I'm going to keep trying to have some really good detransitioners on my channel just to talk about their experiences, just so that, you know, you can hear another side and you can hear sort of just about like reclaiming yourself. And so thank you for being here. It's really powerful to see young people who are on the fence about gender ideology, you know, being brave enough to open up and listen to, you know, the evil turf side of things and actually find something of value in it. So I'm glad that you're here. What is it? Delphine, thank you so much. You guys, I love you. Thank you. Delphine, even Huis. Sorry, I can't speak. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate you so much. Yeah, Connie says Philadelphia Speakers Corner on August 7th. Can't wait. Yay. Oh, yeah. Delphine says Courtney. Oh, she's an Aussie. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize she was Australian. Yeah, she's amazing. I'm excited to have Courtney on. She reminds me a lot of me. So I'm really excited. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stream and then I have a little while longer, so we're going to do another news headline. Thank you to everybody who supported the channel today. I love you guys so much. Oh my God, you guys are the best. All right, I'll be back. Stay tuned. Love you.